Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 Map Guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Angela Wispering Hollow. But before that, this video is brought to you by Jolly Rancher Gaming and Backbone. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Angela Wispering Hollow map can be found at the FarmingSimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. This map comes in at a very small download at 28 megabytes in size. Let me go ahead and read you some of the description. Angela Wispering Hollow, a fictional map based in Kentucky. This map has a good mixture of farming and forestry areas to keep you busy. Angela Wispering Hollow is dedicated to the memory of the map author's sister. Some things on this map include 3 built farms, 1 placeable spot to build as you choose, various base game productions of sell points, 85 fields, and 6 forestry areas. With that said, let's jump back over to the map and check out the PDA. Now, when we load into the map for the very first time, we do start here at the vehicle dealer, which is going to be on the eastern side of the map. Other interesting things to note on this map is that each farm area, and there are 4 if you factor in the buildable area, is one of the 4 quadrants of the map. And our starting farm, should we choose to start the map up by owning the farm, is going to be in the northwest quadrant, and that's going to be farmland ID 86. Should we, again, choose to not own the farm, we'll be able to buy this for $388,000. The other 4 quadrants are going to be farmland ID 87, and this particular quadrant is going to have a cow farm on it, and that can be bought for $664,000. The southwestern quadrant, which is going to have a sheep farm as well as some bees, is going to be buyable for $673,000. And then the buildable quadrant, farmland ID 89, is going to be available for $791,000. Now, as far as other farmlands we own at the start, including the main starting farm and the areas around all of the fields in this quadrant, we have fields 11, 18, 19, 21, and 20. Other things to note is that there are a few productions on this map that you must own the land in order to be able to use them. Other productions you're going to be able to buy individually of the farmland. The productions that are on farmland that you're going to need to buy are going to be here: farmland ID 92, farmland ID 93, farmland ID 91, which is going to have a BGA and sawmill on it, farmland ID 15, farmland ID 99, farmland ID 100, farmland ID 98. So those 6 areas are going to hold productions that you will need to buy the land in order to own them. Our main starting farm does also have a production in the large mushroom greenhouse, and the farmland here on farmland 87, this particular farm has a rice sapling greenhouse pre-placed on it as well. With respect to starting crops, this map has all the standard starting crops available to us in Farm Sim 25. And with respect to the precision farming soil map, we are making use of the generic US soil map that does come with the precision farming mod. So let's go ahead and see how that is being applied to the fields. You see our starting fields are going to be a mix of silty clay and loamy sand. And then we have a nice in our quadrant, pretty much a mix of all of the different soil types. Here you can see the Riverbend Springs loamy sand coming up and down, following what would have been the river again on Riverbend Springs. With respect to the crop counter, we are making use of the generic crop counter that is a part of the precision farming mod. As far as starting animals, our chicken farm, which is the one we start out with, does not have any chickens. We do have contracts available on this map. And as far as productions, well, we start up by owning the greenhouse. We also have available bakery, canning factory, carpentry, grain mill, oil mill, rope maker, spinnery, and tailor shop. But then we have other productions, in total 15. And those other productions, again, are going to require us to buy the land in order to see them. So after we get done this segment, I will go ahead and buy that land, and we'll come back and take a look at all the other productions that are kind of hidden until you do buy those farmlands. With respect to sell points, I counted up 6 different sell points scattered around the map. We'll be taking a look at our starting equipment here in a moment. Should we choose to not own the farm, we will not have any starting machinery either. The buildings are all going to be pre-placed regardless of owning the farm or not. With respect to collectibles, we do have the Riverbend Springs Museum collectibles, so there are 25 collectibles on this map. Now that we've gone and purchased the farmlands and the areas that have the productions, I want to go ahead and kind of go over what we have here. With respect now to productions owned, we have the BGA, a dairy, mushroom, potato processor, and sugar mill. And then we have our bakery, canning factory, carpentry, grain mill, oil mill, rope maker, spinnery, and tailor. There is also going to be a sawmill that is located right here. But oddly enough, it is not on land that we can necessarily directly buy. I was able to have it pull up by buying all the farmland using a script, but trying to individually buy the farmland isn't pulling that up. So maybe that area is tied to some farmland that I'm not completely picking up as to where it is associated with. But at any rate, do note that there is going to be a sawmill here, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me buy it. Let's just tab over real quick to our starting farm location. You see we are in the extreme northwest corner. I will say that we can sell all the buildings on this farm. That's not going to be the same story for the other 2 pre-placed farms. It's a nice easy shed for storage of our tractors and implements. Got another nice small barn here. For again, storage of whatever you want to put in here. Detached garage. We have our farmhouse with our sleep trigger around the front. Another nice machinery shed. We have a hay loft, so we're going to be able to put our hay and straw. Here we have the output pipe in the middle. Another small shed. A little diesel tank. And then we have our chicken coop. So we have our spawn point for our eggs. We have our food, and we have our chicken drop-off for a total of 20 chickens in this coop. We have our mushroom greenhouse, so we're going to be supplying water around the back. Our interactive icon is inside. And of course, our pallet spawn point is along this side. And then we have a big grain silo here in the middle. And since we can sell everything, you could just completely clear this out and rebuild this farm however you wished. So we've got our dump point and our fill point there. Let's go ahead and check our starting fleet. So if we choose to own the starting farm, then we will start out with some starting machinery by the Case IH Puma 260 CVX drive and the Kubota M8 201 for medium tractors. The large tractor category, we have the Case IH Magnum 400 power drive and the Case IH Steiger 715 quad track. We have Q6M front loader arms and the Kubota M77 front loader arms, but we don't have any front loader tools for those arms. We have the Horse Tiger 8MT cultivator, as well as the Optima RS planter. For our harvesting needs, we have the Axle Flow 7150 from Case IH and a 25-foot Terraflex grain header, and that's going to be the culmination of all of our starting machinery. This map does not have any mods or vehicles associated with it that are built in, and with a starting size of just 28 megabytes, one wouldn't expect it. Speaking of things built in, we have basically standard sheds, productions, placeables overall, but there is a little bit of expansion here with respect to our ground textures. We do have a few extra ground textures that are included with the map that I have to say I was a little surprised to find, given again the small download size of just 28 megabytes for this map. What that means overall is this map is basically using all base game assets for any buildings, sell points, and etc. Now let's take to the skies and make our way across the northern part of the map to the cow farm, which is in the extreme northeast corner. And on our way over, we're just going to take a look down through to the south. We see this map is composed of nice rolling hills. We see our vehicle shop directly in front of us, and that means, well, right over here, we have our second farm that we're going to take a look at. And this one, as I said, does have a sapling greenhouse for rice. Let's just go ahead and start at that sapling greenhouse. So that greenhouse is directly here in front of us. We have, of course, our water point in front, our interactive icon inside, and then our pallet spawn point is going to be on the side of this greenhouse. We do have a little detached garage again. Now, this building didn't actually come up as being an actual farmhouse, nor were we able to actually sell the land that was associated with the farmhouse. I have to correct myself earlier. I said this was farmland ID 84, which is not necessarily correct. This is actually farmland ID 87, and that's going to be the starting farm, or the second farm, which is going to be associated with the cows. And there we have farmland ID 97. That's the one. That's the one that I wanted to get. I was talking about that had the sawmill. Why it's way there? Let's see. If we click on this again, do we own some other land? We do. We've got another carpentry production down here, and that's why 97 is all skewed. So we have carpentry down here, and then the sawmill up there that is associated with farmland ID 97, and that's why the number is not over top of the center of the farmland. So what I was saying is this doesn't have a sleep trigger, and we can't sell this farmhouse, nor can we get rid of this fence. So the fencing around the farmhouse we can't get rid of. We can get rid of the garage, but not the house or the fencing. Got a nice vehicle shed for our vehicles if you are owning this cow farm. We have our diesel pump right there. Another nice barn to store any vehicles and machinery. Very large grain silo. They're dumping fill points. And then we have our cow pasture. So, being that this is a base game cow pasture, of course we have our milk point there. We're going to have our cow buy point or delivery point here for a total of 146 cows in this particular husbandry. We have our food trough here inside, as well as our straw triggers. This is going to be the auto-feeding robot building. So you have your slurry point, you have your mineral feed, and then you're going to have your silage, straw, and hay here. Now, if you want to feed manually, you can still inside the shed, or just deliver the ingredients for your TMR and let the robot do its own work. That's going to be the second farm that we're going to look at here. Now, if we make our way down the eastern edge of the map, we're going to find our vehicle dealer, which we're going to come back to, our animal dealer, and then in the extreme southeast corner, we have our buildable site. So if we want to build out our own farm, we can do that, and that's going to be associated with farmland ID 89. Now coming all the way across the southern edge of the map to farmland ID 88. That's going to be the southwest farm. And this one is going to have a sheep pasture. Just like farmland ID 87, where we had a farmhouse and a fence that we could not sell. That is going to be the same story here for this farm. The fact that this fence and that farmhouse doesn't have a sleep trigger, nor can we get rid of it. So you will have to kind of work around that. We do have a nice detached garage here, along with a fuel storage pump. Very large machine shed. Even larger grain silo with our dump and fill points. Our sheep husbandry. And for this sheep husbandry, we're looking at a total size of 108 animals for this husbandry. We have our food trough, and then we're going to find our wool or milk, because of course sheep or goats is going to be right there. More easy sheds for implement storage, bale storage, or whatever. And again, we can sell all these and reconfigure this area however we want. Now, I think this is kind of an interesting map, and the fact that it's laid out in 4 different quadrants, almost as if it's primed for multiplayer, and 4 different farms, and 4 different sets of players, or players, on this farm, each quadrant having its own fields, but I don't think that the fields are kind of evenly spread out across all 4 quadrants. Here we have the bees. Now, I was able to sell the big beehive. I'm also able to sell the spawn point for the honey. But I'll back away just in case anyone just kind of gets triggered by the bee sound. These small beehives are just like the farmhouse. They are permanently a part of this area. And that, folks, is going to be the 4 different farm areas that are included on this map. We've got the sheep farm. We've got the cow farm, we've got our starting chicken farm, and we have the buildable zone in the extreme southwest corner. I want to make my way back over here to the vehicle shop, and we'll take a look at where things spawn there, and then take a look at all the various productions and sell points. Now, on this map, I did test this with my low-end test system, which is using AMD integrated graphics. Basically the same chipset that you're going to find in lots of the popular Windows handhelds, as well as the Steam Deck, or an equivalent, very equivalent chipset to that of the Steam Deck. I saw performance anywhere from the mid 40s to low 50s while kind of looking around and checking the map out on that system. So I'd say that you should have no issue whatsoever with respect to using this map on any device that can run FarmSim 25. Now that we've leased our side-by-side, we can see where our new vehicles are going to spawn here. And of course, we have our service dealer trigger over here at this other shed. Very similar to how it is on Riverbend Springs. Right across the street from the vehicle dealer, we're going to find our animal dealer. So we have our dealer trigger to buy our animals. We have our bale sell trigger. And around the back, well, you're going to have what you expect to find. We have a buy point for manure and a buy point for slurry. Across the street from our animal dealer, we're going to find the warehouse. And of course, at the warehouse, we're going to be able to use it to sell goods, as well as be able to purchase goods. So we have our dump point there for our buying of goods. And we have our activation icon here at the back door in order to purchase produced goods. Across the street, or across the way from there, we're going to find our carpentry. And as we discovered earlier, the carpentry is tied to farmland ID 97, which is also going to include the sawmill up by the biogas plant, up by the BGA. Let's kind of just make our way over there now, since we kind of just talked about it. Here we have the biogas plant, north of field 81 and to the west of field 79. We can sell the BGA if we do own the land. And when we do sell the BGA, all of these structures are going to vanish up here on this upper level. So it's also going to include the kind of ancillary buildings over here on the right. Just down from that, we have then the sawmill that is again tied to the same farmland that has the carpentry shop. Here we have our rope maker. No, sorry, this is not our rope maker. That'd be the grain mill. So our grain mill, we have our pallet spawn point, and we're going to have our dump point there. Given the fact that this map has 4 different quadrants, we have a road that's running north-south, basically splitting the map in half, and a road running east and west, again splitting the map in half for each particular direction. At the 4 corners, well, we're going to have a farmer's market sell point located right here, so we can dump our grain, or we can dump our produced goods. Then across the way from that, we do have that, well, that illusory rope maker. So we have our pallet point, we have our interactive icon, and we're going to have our dump point for our rope products. Let's continue south along the north-south highway. We're going to find those 3 production lands that are, again, purchasable, as well as a grain sell point. So we have our grain sell point located right there with our dump station. And then across the street, we're going to find our dairy production. Down from that, we're going to find our sugar mill. And down from that, we're going to find a potato processor. Let's shoot diagonally over to the western side of the map, kind of toward the middle. This is where we're going to find a little bit of a town. So if we shoot in from the east-west highway, got a little bit of a traffic jam going on here. Guess these cones are in the way. Any rate, we have our canning factory. We have our oil mill. Both of those, again, are on land that we do need to buy in order to make use of those. Down here in town, we have this fabulous setup. This is going to be our spinnery. So for dump point, we have our interactive icon and our pallet point. And what I really like about this is the back. I think the back is really wonderfully done with the water from the mill wheel kind of flowing down here into this lake. We have our fuel point for the map. Central Cafe sell point. We have another sell point here. Not a sell point, but a buy point for lime, I should say, where we're going to be able to purchase lime. We have our bakery production. And we have our tailor production. That should be everything up here in the town. Now we continue across the map following our east-west highway. We're going to come to our four corners and keep on going. To our left, we have our vehicle dealer. We have our animal dealer. And again, we're back here to our warehouse and our carpentry. So that basically concludes the tour of Angela Wispering Hollow. Hope you all have enjoyed this map video. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this map? Now, I know the map's been out for a little while, so if you've had a chance to play on it, again, let me know what you all think. We're going to be trying to catch up in the next day or two with respect to all the maps that came out while I was away at the Sim Gaming Expo. That was a great show, so also keep an eye out on the channel in the coming days for a video dedicated to the coverage of the Sim Gaming Expo. Until next time, happy farming.